Hello everyone, welcome to our channel TechBeamers. Today we will discuss a very important topic for QA and automation engineers, which is data-driven testing framework in Selenium. To understand this concept more, let's go to our website techbeamers.com, where we have recently published a detailed tutorial on how to build a data-driven framework in Selenium 4. Before diving deep into the technical details, it is important to understand the concept of data-driven framework. A data-driven framework is a design pattern that separates test script from test data. It allows you to run the same test case with multiple inputs stored in different formats. For example, it could be a CSV, Excel file, or even a MySQL database. It enhances the reusability and scalability of the testing framework. The second thing to understand is what is data-driven testing. Data-driven testing automates the workflows using external data sets to validate various scenarios. For example, we can consider testing a flight booking form with thousands of passengers without rewriting test scripts. The next thing which we need to understand is why should we even use a data-driven framework? Because it provides us four things. First is scalability. We can test thousands of scenarios with one single script. Second is reusability. It is easy to swap data sets without any making code changes. Third thing is the maintainability. It is easy to update test data when data is in the CSV or Excel, not in the scripts. Fourth one is efficiency. With data-driven framework, we can create applications which reduces execution time by 70%, which is an industry average. Now coming to the main components of a data-driven framework, there are four main components. First one is the external data source. Second is the test-ng data provider. Why test-ng data provider? Because it gives us the ability to connect our application to the external data source. Third is Selenium WebDriver. Definitely, we have to automate our flows in the browser, so it is for that purpose. Fourth is Apache Common IO, which is a third-party library for screenshot logging. Now it's time to understand step by step how can you build a data-driven testing framework with simple steps. The first step is adding Maven dependency. So basically, Maven is a Java build tool to build and compile your application created using Selenium 4, TestNG, and WebDriver Manager. So the first thing you have to create is a pom.xml file. Pom.xml file is a Maven configuration file where you mention all your dependencies or components along with their version. For example, you can see here we are mentioning Selenium 4, 4.9.1. We are also mentioning TestNG. So it is very easy to manage all the components at one single location by using the pom.xml file. Secondly, we will have to prepare the test data. For example, we are simulating a flight booking scenario here. So we know how we can structure the CSV file. So for flight booking, we mainly need four fields: source, destination, departure date, and return date. And for testing demo, we are including two records. You can see. You can add more if desired. Third thing to understand is how will you associate the external data source with your testing framework. So for that we are using data provider, and you have to assign a unique name to your data provider, and you have to also write a unique function for your data provider annotation. So this function is kind of reading data from the CSV file and loading it into an array object, and this function is returning that object. So later this array object will be used for running the different test cases. So in order to consume this array object containing several records, we need to write a function and associate it with the data provider. For this also we will use testng @test annotation, which we can associate with a data provider instance. Now this function will work on the data written by this function. You can see on the screen, and it will run different scenarios for each data set. Now the last part is the full source code. Now you can see we have provided the complete POM file, which includes all the dependencies which you will be needing to set up and execute the testing framework. So you just need to copy it from here and save it as a file. The second thing is the testng XML. It's a small XML file where you need to mention the main project Java class file. Third thing is your main Java class file, which in our case is data-driven test.java. So here is the complete source code. Let's try to understand what's in there. So you can see the first thing is the test site, demo site. This is a demo site that we are going to use. Basically, it's a simple HTML code which we have hosted on glitch.me, which is a free hosting web server. You can also create your own HTML there, but you can also reuse this flight booking test HTML from us. So here we will be running our UI flows. The next important thing is the setup function. This setup function is kind of communicating with the Chrome driver. Here you also need to be very careful because you need a Chrome driver which is compatible with your Chrome browser version. Selenium 4 also provide a automated setup to download and use Chrome driver, but sometimes it does not work. We also tried, but it did not work. So that's why we had to manually download the Chrome driver, compatible Chrome driver from the Selenium website. And then you need to copy it to the this directory, user local bin, and you also need to assign executable permission to this binary. The next thing is again like fetching data from the CSV file and loading the data into a object array. Last thing, you will write a testing function which you will associate with this data provider, and here the actual business logic will happen. The web page will get loaded, all the details will be filled into that web page using the Selenium. Here you can also see we have placed some weight also, because when you provide the flight details like cities, source and target cities, and departure and return date, and you press search, so search button takes some time to come back. So there should not be an error. That's why wait call is placed here. Similarly, you can see the later part of the code. You need to just copy it and paste it in a Java class file. Now let's understand how to test or how to run the test basically. This is about the demo site which we have already covered. You can also use another demo sites by clicking on this link. This is the CSV file where we are keeping our data. These are the four components that you make sure that they are installed before you start to run this test. This is important that this is how you structure your data-driven framework in Selenium. So you can see you will have the base directory of your project. Then there are three main components: form.xml, src folder, and third is the testengine.xml. And you can see there are many folders inside the src folder. And in the last folder, you will find your main project file, data-driven test.java. And under the test, there is also a child folder named resources. Here you keep your third-party data or external data. So for big project, for large project, it is important to maintain the structure. However, it is also possible that even with a flat structure, you can achieve this automation. But it's important to keep data or keep related data in separate files and follow a strategy. And these are the two commands which you need to run to execute your test cases. The first command is mvn clean install. This is responsible for compiling the source code and running your test. So most of the time, this one command is sufficient because it first compiles and then also runs the test cases. If you already built your project and you just want to execute, then this command is enough. Here is how you execute. So we have captured a short snapshot here. These are some of the best practices you can go through by your own by directly accessing this website. What we like to add in the end is that when you have thousands of test cases, then it is not good to run all those test cases sequentially. So TestNG provide facility to run all the test cases in parallel, basically on threads. So for you can enable this setting by using this attribute parallel to methods. So we like that you try this option by yourself. And throughout this tutorial, if you have any doubts or something is not clear to you, for example, the code, it is a long code, long piece of code. So if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask us either by our website by placing comments or by our video by watching our video on YouTube, and you can also place your comments on YouTube. So we'll make sure that we respond to your queries as soon as possible because we want to make this video tutorial as helpful as it can be for you. So for now, goodbye, take care, thank you.